Well, the 23rd World Economic Forum on Africa is currently underway in Cape Town. Bronwyn Nielson is standing by with Miguel Azevedo, the head of investment banking for Africa at Citi. So, Bronwyn, I'm going to hand it over to you and, of course, to take us through the prospects for Citi on the continent.
Well, thanks very much, Sam. We're going to be talking about investment trends, as you said, with Miguel. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Let's talk about capital and what type of investor right now is deploying new money into Africa.
Well, I think you have three types of investors these days looking into Africa, and two of them are very active and one not so active yet. First one, I would start with the strategic investors, and we are talking of multinational companies. They cannot miss the growth opportunity in Africa. This is really the only continent that is showing huge potential in terms of growth. Demographics are very strong, so they are coming and they want to do it now. They want to be on the ground now. So that's the first group of investors. The second group of investors is what I call private equity investors in a simple manner. And these are also very active. People have, private equity for Africa. They have raised billions of dollars. We're talking of billions now. And this money can only be deployed in Africa. So we'll start being deployed in bigger amounts than ever before. And so this is very active. The third group, if I may, is final investors. These are investors that buy into listed stocks. This is the one group that is not yet firing, as it should. And it has to do, with many other things, including liquidity, but that's a different.
Are these investors, and perhaps you go across all three categories, prepared to play a long-term game? Because we know that investing in frontier markets is about being there for the long term. It is not about making a quick buck.
Right. I think that's exactly why you have strategic and private equity investors very active. They can be here for long, and they can be here for minimum 5 years, and they know you need to be in for a long time. The problem with financial investors and investors is that they need to be able to exit at any point in time. And if they feel the liquidity in the local stock markets or even in London is low, they will not come, because they have to be able to get out.
How's the African story competing with the likes of Asia and Latin America when it comes to money flowing into emerging markets?
In total numbers, it will still come third, but in growth terms, it's really the one that is growing faster. I think people see in Africa what they've seen in Latin America a few years back, and the potential is just enormous. However, the devil is really on the detail, and you still see a very long period between opportunity and transaction, and people, the perceived risk is actually higher than the real risk. So we need some more time so that confidence builds up and you see more transactions. I think we will be seeing that in the next few years.
When it comes to risk and reward, the continent is known for high risk, high reward.
Correct.
Can we change that perception, or is the perception a reality?
I think on the risk side, starting with the risk, it is significant and people need to be aware, but as I said, I think the perceived risk is actually higher. And if you look elsewhere, what was perceived to be a low-risk environment actually turned out to be a very high-risk environment. So in relative terms, it's actually even less. So it's already very acceptable. Return-wise, you can see big returns in Africa, and big, I don't mean doubling the money in 2 years' time, but very, very high returns compared to the cost of capital, and that's an important issue as well.
I think we're making the mistake of speaking about Africa as one and painting all countries with one brush. That's not possible at this point in time. So if you were to focus on the real hotspots right now, is that a regional play? Would West Africa be way up there, or are you going to go into specific countries?
I would say from the investor perspective, investors actually prefer platforms, i.e. companies that are regional champions and that are in different countries. So that's one thing. But in terms of specific countries, I think it really goes with size. So Nigeria is really number one in the sense that it's 170 million people, a lot of growth there. And then you have East Africa, and people do look at it as one single region, probably with Kenya as a hub. I would say these are the two big ones. I think Sub-Saharan Africa is the juicy part of Africa. I think the North and South Africa are less attractive these days, growing in the region of 3%, while in the middle you have growth in 6%. We actually call it the sandwich, the Africa sandwich.
Going back to broad strokes and the theme at the World Economic Forum on Africa, and that is delivering on Africa's promise, do you think that that is in fact starting to happen right now, even if you go country by country?
I believe so, and I believe so because you not only see a commodities boom, which you may argue was one of the triggers, but you see better politics, better policies, better governance, and you see the demographics actually helping. And if you get all this right, you will get the confidence, and you will get, I think, a continued period of growth going forward.